and our beloved principals, Dr. J.B. Panduranganayak sir, AS National Degree College, Gauribidanur. Welcome you, sir. Dr. M. V. Krishnamurthy, HOD, Commerce, Director of PG Studies, MCOM, AS National Degree College, Gauribidanur. We welcome you to this webinar, sir. Our today's chief guest, Dr. G. Satish Kumar, Associate Professor, Economics and Public Policy, School of Management, Presidency University, Rajankunti, Bangalore. He wholeheartedly accepted our request to do this lecture program. On behalf of AS National Degree College, we wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. I welcome all the participants to this webinar. Now I request Dr. G. Satish Kumar to deliver the lecture on today's topic, the virtues of virtual learning matters after COVID-19 crisis. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thanks to AEF National College for this invitation. It is very honor to have a session on the 100th birth, celebration of the founder of AES group of institutions. So I'm happy to be part of this celebration. So I should thank all the administrators and starting from principal and chairman and all. So finally, I thank the seminar organizer, Sankita Vinay. So welcome to the session. So I don't want to take much of my time, your time. Already we are almost 10 minutes delayed the session. So I will try to give a maximum of 30-40 minutes of discussion. So after that, I may get a few questions. Okay. So the topic of the day is virtues of virtual learning matters in the context of COVID-19. Okay. So that is what we are going to see. Suddenly all of us moved to online education, virtual learning, and all this got, hot topic today. Just within 60 days, 1 month, we have moved like anything towards virtual learning and online education. So this is the right time to discuss about something about virtual learning and that too particularly virtues, the principles of virtual learning, what we are supposed to follow when we adopt virtual learning, as a learning ecosystem for the coming academic years. Okay, so that is what the relevance of this topic today. So it's good to see a lot of people here. So almost we have more than 50 people, and I hope the entire college, AES college, there are a lot of faculty sitting there and listening to me. Most of the things what we are going to discuss today may not be new to many of you. But what I am going to do today is I will explore my insights on virtual learning. Okay, so apart from the PPT, what I go through. So in each and every aspect of the discussion, what I share as my perspective and insights is always matter. So my research scholars and research students aware that I used to share my exposure, my insights, and my perception on how I look at all these things. So a true researcher should have, his own or her own, a perception on, whatever he or she does. Okay, so in that way, the today's session, I will be sharing, my insights and perception on this virtual learning. So I'm Dr. G. Satish Kumar, as Sangeeta Vinay introduced to me. And I was popularly known as Professor GSK in different platforms. So if you want to connect with me, I am there in almost all social medias. Okay. So these days we are talking about virtual learning, and we should also be a teacher. One should be available in all the platforms. Okay. So that will make you your visibility in this virtual learning era. So please be, connected, and please be there in the virtual world of this, modern generation. And I request all of you to be connected with me in all my social platforms. So starting from LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and I have a Google Scholar ID, and my email is there, professorgsk@outlook.com, and I have my phone number there, 8489842423. Okay, so I welcome all of you to connect with me to have a better discussion in the days to come. Okay, so what is my objective of life? See, the objective of my life is to serve this society. Okay, basically, I want to be a public worker. So that is one reason why I have chosen this career, a teaching career. So where I can meet a lot of people and the young generation. So my objective is to serve the society, take the society for the sustainability in social, economic, and philosophical ideologies through sharing my exposure, whatever the exposure I earn in my life. Okay, for that I want to share. So I get my exposure and insights by being a learner, researcher, teaching, and doing a lot of outreach activities. So by doing this, helping out the society to attain sustainability in social, economic, and philosophical ideologies. That is my philosophy of living, why I'm living, and this is my philosophy of living. The one mantra of my life is be the cause of changes. So I want to be the cause, a reason for the changes that is good for the society and that is good for the human civilization. So this is a short, biography about me. So these days I used to share this also because I want to reach people. I want to connect with a lot of fellow humans to have quite a bit of quality interactions for the benefit of the enrichment of this human civilization. So let's get into the topic of today. Okay, so let's get into the today's topic. So this is what, before we go, the technology changes humankind. Okay, see, the entire human civilization actually evolved with a lot of inventions, technology, and things. For example, one invention, this electricity, right? This electricity made the huge impact in the entire human civilization. So like that, the each and every inventions, scientific inventions we come up in terms of technology, that totally changes the humankind, and further human changes the technology. So as the human civilizations evolve by year, so we are getting more intellectual, and we are doing a lot of advanced levels of scientific experiments. With that, the human is coming up with a lot of advancements in the technology, and it's a vice versa, that technology changes the humankind, and actually human advances the technology, yeah, minute by minute these days. So there was one research article I read. It also exactly talks about this one, interconnection between the human and technology, human and media. Okay, human with technology, human and technology is inevitable these days. So without technology, human without technology these days cannot be considered as a real human at all. See, the people those who born after 1995, okay, so we call them as digital natives. Okay, we call them as the generation of digital natives. They born with the technology. So if you are not somehow knowing the know-how of the technology, then you are not being treated as the ordinary human being. So in the philosophical level to in the ideological level to in the real-time day-to-day life of an ordinary human being, technology has become inevitable, a component of human's life. So let's get into the few questions before we go and discuss the core things. Do we really need in-class experience for the students? Okay, do we really need in-class experience for the students of this digital natives? Okay, I'm talking about the students of the digital natives, not the students of our generation, not the students of our father's generation. Okay, the students of this generation, digital natives, do we really need in-class experience? So, what is the the degree of the usability of this in-class experience? That actually we have to review that aspect of providing the education to the this digital native. So this is what the entire discussion will roam around the few questions what I'm asking here. And what improvements are required? Suppose if you don't want to go for in classes, and if you want to move to the virtual learning, virtual teaching, then what improvements are really required in terms of building IT infrastructure which can be suitable for the online education? See, most of our institutions, we are we are zero. In fact, we are zero stage of building the IT infrastructure. Okay, and not just having a computer lab, it doesn't mean we have IT infrastructure. IT infrastructure for providing the online education, virtual learning. In that sense, actually, we are in the zero stage. We are in the zero stage. So, that is the one question we have to check. Are we really have, the advanced, the required IT infrastructure providing the online education? So these things we will be discussing. And what training efforts are required for faculty and students? See, no faculty, no student in India is trained before this COVID-19 for the online education. So we not at all exposed into the this online education, the virtual learning, and suddenly we all started exploring into this virtual learning. So are we, the faculties and the students, uh, have their mindset and behavior towards the virtual learning? So are we done that, or what we are going to do in connection with this? So these are the three, the questions I will be addressing here and there in my 30, 40 minutes of I may go down the questions, so we'll take it later. Yeah. So virtual learning, okay, virtual learning or virtual learning environment. What is that? What is that virtual learning or virtual learning environment? The virtual learning or virtual learning environment is nothing but it's a set of teaching and learning tools. It's not just giving, lecture or conducting classes, through this Zoom. Okay, it's not just. It is a set of teaching and learning tools. There are n number of teaching tools are there, learning tools are there. The building, okay, the building the sustainable virtual learning environment is very much important, which will ensure a set of modern teaching and learning tools designed to enhance the students' learning experience. It should enhance the students' learning experience. If you go and see the TikTok or YouTube, so that TikTok is the modern days, the meme of this digital native generation. There you can see a lot of the TikTok version of memes are there about the pathetic condition of the learning experience what the students are going through. So we have to enhance the students' learning experience. Okay, nowadays we are all aware somehow the education has become a business. Okay, commercial, not I won't say a business. It got into the commercial flavor. When we are getting into the commercial flavor, the students are our clients. The students are our clients, and we have to. It is our it is our responsibility to ensure a better learning experience in spite of whatever the condition. Okay, so that we can ensure through virtual learning. by including computers and internet. So by including the computers and internet in the learning process, enhancing the students' learning experience with the help of a set of modern teaching and learning tools, that is what the virtual learning environment. With this two and a half line, we have lot of interpretation. It needs your 2000 days to establish. 2000 days to establish in the sense at least 5 to 10 years it will take for a organization to fully equipped with the virtual learning environment. So this is what is virtual learning or virtual learning environment. So look at this, a picture here. We can see, the people's ability to remember and people's ability to produce learning outcome. Okay, if you look at here, if you just make the students to just read, they will recollect what the 10% of whatever they read. If you just make them to hear audio, only the audio if you give, and only the 20% of that only they will remember. So when you use images and videos, 30% they can recollect from the what they have seen. And if you go for attending exhibit sites and demonstration, see, in this, the demonstration is very much important. So the demonstrative way of teaching will get more, recollecting things to the students, and moreover, the participation. Okay, the participation in the hands-on workshop and design collaborative lessons. So these days, virtual learning actually is the platform where you can think of co-creating the lessons with the students. So we in the days to come, in the years to come, we have to co-create the lessons, co-create the curriculum with the students. So when we do that, students can recollect 70% of what they say and write. See, we have to start listening to the students. The virtual world, they will be more accommodative for all these changes when you start listening to the students. So that is what very much important. The last one, doing a lot of simulation, real-time experience. Okay, that will happen at the higher education level, like your research level. Okay, so at least we should ensure the quality of education till this stage. So the virtual learning are called as a blended learning. It's a combination of having images, video, doing demonstration, hands-on exercises, and co-creating the lesson. So all this, a combination. So these things actually become the modern day for teaching and learning tools. Okay, so that is what we are going to adopt in the years to come in almost all the educational institutions at almost in all different levels of education, starting from the pre-KG to PhD. Okay, the online classes are happening. In fact, the kids are doing better in online classes than the adults. So that is what I can see when I listen to some of the kids living nearby my house. So I used to interact with them. They are doing better than my MBA students. They are doing better than my PhD students. Okay, in terms of adapting to this new learning ecosystem, because they are the digital natives. So how we are not dealing with the very young kids. We are dealing with the adolescent people and the adult guys. So we need to really adapt all these the combination of these teaching and learning tools for ensuring the better learning environment. So actually this virtual learning or blended learning is the new frontier. It's a new frontier opened up for all of us, and it will definitely create a very big impact, whether you like it or not. Okay, whether you like it or not, whether you adopt it or not, it is going to create a very big impact on the education, starting from the pre-KG to higher education. That is going to happen. So are we going to, join in this journey or not as a faculty, as the administrators of the college, as the leaders of the college? Are we going to adapt to these changes, and are we going to join with this new frontier or not? So that is up to you. We have to build, a lot of things to join in this new frontier. So I will be coming back in the end of the discussion. I will coming back. So what as a faculty, as your administrator, as your leader, what we are supposed to do for ensuring better virtual learning? So there are different terminologies are there. Distance learning, online learning, virtual learning, blended learning. Okay, there are a lot of the usage of terms are there. All are not same. We synonymously use, we alternatively use all these things. So before COVID-19, online education was treated as like a distance education. So we won't give value. We faculties, ourselves not given the value to the online education. So before the COVID-19, it was treated like as a difference education. What is there? You cannot learn anything, and that is not good like that. And all we had. So now, once we get into that, I think we all realized, the real outcome of that online or virtual learning. So slowly we are moving. So try to understand, the different usage of the versions of online learning. So online learning, virtual learning, and blended learning. So actually, I am planning to conduct some workshops on how to. So today I won't reveal the know-how and the technology part of the technical part of how we can implement this blended learning and virtual learning. We will be discussing only the virtues, the principles today. Okay, only the principles only we'll be discussing today, not the technicalities of that. So that I am planning to do it as a 1 day or 2 day workshop, how you can adapt this blended learning or virtual learning into your curriculum. Okay, so if some of you interested, and you can join in this that workshop, that will be the paid one. So here there is a general clarification of differences between traditional academic and virtual learning environment. Let's see what is the difference between a traditional way of providing the learning and the virtual way of providing the learning. Look at here. Look at here. We have, in terms of focus of course. Focus of course, earlier it was a group. We will address to the a group of students. Virtual learning, it's an individual attention. The students will get the individual attention. So we need to consider the focus. That means not just one-on-one teaching, but when you teach online, you have to consider each and every student, because you cannot visibly see them. So you have to balance the top class students to a slow learner. So that focus of course is on individual students. Okay, rather than in a class you will be okay with addressing to the majority of the students. You will omit, and you may not bother about a few students, those who are slow learners. Okay, so the focus of course has changed from group to individual, from traditional to virtual learning. Focus of content, actually it is the teacher oriented, teacher centric content we prepare. See, I had a bit of bad experience as a faculty and as a student. Okay, so what the teachers would do when I was doing my post graduation and undergraduation. So I studied in a university. I got my post graduation in a university, and where the faculties will decide the course, decide the content. If they don't know anything about a particular advanced topic, they will not include it in the syllabus. So they will be framing the syllabus which they knew. Actually, a teacher should be a ever learner. If you are not a learner, ever learner, then you are not fit to be a teacher. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry to say this statement, but this is what the fact. You need to be a ever learner. You need to update yourself every day, every minute. being a professor in economics, right? I have to update myself with each and everything happening in every day. So then only I can connect my classes with the real world. If you are not connecting your class, whatever you teach, whether you teach mathematics, chemistry, physics, and economics or whatnot, you have to connect that to the real world. That is what very important. So the focus of the content actually changes from teacher centered to student centered. So when you offer courses in future, I can tell you that many of the faculties may be working under self-financing thing, or maybe working under private institutions. I'm telling you, if you are not really expert in your field, the future is going to have a more of teachers, more of online teachers, because at one single session they can address 1,000 students. Okay, the institutions may prefer only the teachers, those who are really having the stuff in the subject, those who are really able to connect their subject to the real-time world. So if you are not able to, enhance your skills to match up with this, then your job will be under threat. So you will be under risk. That is going to happen. I actually suggest the academic institutions to prefer in the highly skilled people at one by having one high skilled professor, you can address to 1,000 students or 500 students. For example, I have heard that AEF National College, there are 3 colleges, right? There are 2 in Bangalore and 1 in Gauripadan. I think that is what I heard of. And if it is the faculty working in Bangalore, center, they can address to the Gauripadan campus also. Okay, at a single session. One time the physical session may go, and so like that you can you can have a good set of faculty and for addressing the many students. So the center content focus change from teacher center to student center. Coming to the time, it is a scheduled time we had earlier. Now it is any time. Now it is any time, and it is flexible to the teacher and student. So whenever the teacher and student have time, they can schedule their sessions. Okay. So there are 4. I think there are 4. I have heard there are 4 AEF national colleges for that. Okay. And the place, it's a classroom previously. Now it can be anywhere. So a student can learn from kitchen. Okay, a student can learn from restroom. It's a very comfortable for them. When coming to the college and sitting in the classroom, they have to hesitate like anything to ask for a permission to go for a loo. Now they don't know want to ask you a permission. They by putting the earphone in the air and they can sitting in the toilet, they can listen to you also. So be very flexible, nothing wrong, right? So that the comfort zone the students are getting. See, actually, some of the teachers, those who taught through even online, they used to tell the students that you please come online with well dressed and you have to be in video. What nonsense this is? No, nothing actually, right? So this generation is totally different. Be open-minded. Be open-minded and think from their perspective, how you can, because I told you, they are not just students these days, they are your clients. They are your clients. If you are not getting enough number of admissions, then the number of teachers will be reduced in the next academic year. Okay, the same like in the business institutions. Okay, and flexibility, and previously we had a standardized thing and now it's a customized. We are customizing the, courses to the students. I know one, B school based at Chennai. Actually, I was being a visiting faculty to that institution. They offer customized MBA program. That means your students can choose whatever the course they want to learn. Okay, it's a open. So they will have some 50, for example, 50 listed courses. Out of that, first semester, what they want to study. Okay, they may select any 5 of that. So they can customize what they can study. So this the same thing I expressed this in last November. We had a World Education Summit at Hyderabad. A panel discussion. I was moderating that panel discussion. So the entire panel echoed this. The entire panel echoed this particular aspect of providing the education. And content, previously it is stable and durable. Now it has become dynamic. A number of students, it's a space limited. Okay, if the class is 60 members only, you can accommodate only 60. Now that limit is not there. Infrastructure. The institutions can save a huge cost in terms of infrastructure. You can admit, hundreds of students even without physical infrastructures like buildings. Okay, so like that, the entire the scenario of learning has been changed totally from traditional way of learning to virtual learning. Why this using of this virtual learning will motivate the students? Why it can motivate the students? So I see. So don't take me wrong. I am always a student-centric teacher. Okay, I am always a student-centric teacher, not the institution-centric and not the the college-centric teacher. Okay, so because teaching is a profession, a noble profession where we got an opportunity. Okay, we got a great opportunity to influence the minds of the young brains. Okay, it is very great opportunity you cannot get in your lifetime of your career. At least you get an opportunity to influence thousands of people. If you are a very good teacher and if you are a inspiring teacher, by inspiring your student, you can produce better citizens, better humans. Try to be like a inspiring teacher. Okay, how to be an inspiring teacher? You can be an inspiring teacher if you understand their world. Try to understand their world. Try to understand where they roam around. Okay, for example, these days the students are more are there in Instagram. Actually, I do Instagram live session on every Saturday 7 p.m. Okay, my students are coming. It's unofficial class. It's not class. I am addressing to the entire. It's open to public. My students, majority of my students used to come there. We have a discussion. Instagram is the the largely used social media by this generation, digital natives. So why I'm telling this is, as a teacher, you have to know where these guys are roaming around, what these guys are doing, what is their world. Without understanding their world, you cannot provide a right set of learning experience to your students. So that is why this virtual learning may motivate your student. Why it is, how it is motivating, let's see. Because in this virtual learning, students are having control over learning. Okay, when to do, what to do, all it's they can control. For example, attending the class, if they want to listen to, you see, in class, whether you are teaching boringly or interestingly, they have to listen to you. Even if you make them to sleep, no way, they have to awake and see you. If it is a virtual class, they cannot they can have freedom to meet you. They will mute and they will go and do their job. Not just the freedom of flexibility of doing assignments. Flexibility of learning will be more when we move to the virtual learning environment. And the ownership, okay, the increased the technology actually enhancing the widening the participation of the students. So more students are coming and learning in the context. So we are teaching the context based teaching, we are moving, and continuity between the context, and we are also doing the continuity between the context that is also possible in virtual learning. And there are a lot of fun things may happen in the virtual learning. Okay, involve fun in teaching. How you can teach mathematics with a lot of fun. Have new the fun, create the innovative and creative way of delivering your subject. And communication is yet another thing that virtual learning ensures a lot of ways. You can have, like, we have a forums. Okay, we have forums, we have a chat option here, and we also use email, WhatsApps. Okay, the multiple way of communication you can do these days. So that is what actually motivating the students. The students are very friendly with all these technology via communication. Okay, every time if you come and meet me person, come and meet me person in person. See, we guys are used to meet our teachers in person. So we will take it like, if your student is not meeting you in person, we are taking it like the student is not respecting me. It is not so actually. They are not used to. They are not used to do this kind of thing. They prefer and they are comfortable in communicating via the technology enabled tools. So try to communicate that the virtual learning environment ensures that kind of communication. That is what the motivates the students to prefer virtual learning environment. Okay, fine. Now we are slowly getting into the roles of faculties. Okay, the teacher, faculty, all. Before you give a lecture, first you learn first. Okay, before we give a lecture, we have to learn first. See, it's a matter of 30-40 minutes of this lecture. You know one thing, I have collected about 80 literatures on this. I may not deliver the content of that 80 literature, but to have a discussion with you, that gave that reading and having a glance of that 80 different literatures gave me a lot of small insights. With that insights, I am sharing what I think. But to get that insights, you have to read a lot. So learn first and then give a lecture. Learn first and then teach. Okay. So you learned in your MA. After that, when did you learn? Okay. After becoming a teacher, did you updated anything new? Okay, that is very important. We have to be a ever learner. A teacher should be a ever learner. So here I would suggest all the faculty members, to take a course in Coursera. There is a specialization called virtual teaching that consisting of 5 courses. If you complete 5 courses, you will be getting a specialization certificate in virtual teaching. Okay. Each course runs for 4 to 5 weeks. So 5 courses, almost 25 to 25 to 30 weeks. Okay. So roughly, in course of 6 months of time, you can complete a specialization in virtual learning, virtual teaching. So please, so if those who can afford that cost, so per course may cost about 10,000 rupees, I think, but that will give you a better exposure. If you don't want a certificate, you can do an audit of that course. You can just audit the course. You need not pay. If you want only the certificate at the end, then you need to pay. Otherwise, you no need to pay for that. So that is one course I suggest to faculties can prefer that to go. That each course will cost for 10,000 rupees. So roughly 5 courses, it will cost about 50,000 to 60,000. The same kind of thing only I am going to give you as a 2-day, 3 hours of paid workshop. If some of you interested, I'm doing it on private. So you can join me there in the blended learning and virtual learning, the master class of mine. So where you can equip yourself as a teacher into the new virtual learning environment. So here I gave a lot of look into this. A teaching should be in 3 different levels of the stages you have to ensure your presence. One is social presence. What is the how you can ensure your social presence as a teacher? How you can ensure your cognitive presence as a teacher? How you can ensure your teaching? Okay, how you can ensure your teaching presence in the learning environment? So these 3 are very important. By the combination of the social presence and your cognitive presence, you can develop the course or discourse. And with the combination of your teaching presence and social presence, Hello? Are you able to hear me? Yeah, I have some problem here. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Is my screen is visible to you? No.
No, sir.
My screen.
Screen share is not.
I will check. Now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. So I will just skip this, and because that is what I talked about. So we are running out of time, I think, and we will ensure the further amounts of discussion here. So what is the right amount of mix of this learning? So you need to ask this question. What are the learning objectives when you are designing a course as a faculty? When you are designing a course and you have to ask this, what are the learning objective of the course? Which learning mode can best meet them? Online, in person. See, in future, not actually the virtual learning, but the blended learning. There is a concept called blended learning that only will evolve as a model of education in the years to come. That is what I predict. So that is why I am going to concentrate on that blended learning. So blending different methods of teaching in class, online, simulations. Okay, so it will be a kind of a blended, so that kind of syllabuses you need to form. And what technology is available when you are designing a course, look around the technologies. What are the technologies available to support your virtual elements? For example, if you do some management simulation, business simulation, what are the softwares are there? What are the provisions are there to do a business simulation online? So if you are doing some mathematical modeling for some real-time solutions, then how you can be more interactive in delivering that to the students virtually. So what are the platforms are there? What are the tools are there? So before you go for launching a course, so we need to ensure what technology is supporting your virtual elements of your course, and what skills are available from instructor, IT staff, and student. So as a faculty, please assess yourself. What are the skills you have? Now, what is the level of the skill you have in terms of delivering your, the online lecture better? And do we really have enough IT staff for supporting that information technology, supporting staff in the colleges? So the colleges and institutions need to look at, having the IT supporting staff, more of IT supporting staff to enable the effective virtual learning environment. So here I have given some step-by-step process for exploiting the potential of all this digital technology as tools. Okay, first what we need to do is we need to determine the objectives. Okay, as we do IQAC, NAC and all, we do outcome-based education. We have a program level objectives, course level objective, and program specific objective, a PO, PUO, all these things are there, right? So when you move to keep that all those things, keep that all these outcomes, PO, PUO, and CO, and all these things, okay? And when you are designing a course for online or a blended course, okay, somehow you need to rethink about the objectives of the course. So define your objectives of the course in accordance with, is it possible to develop, deliver it in the virtual learning, or if it is not possible, we have to first develop the virtual learning course with the objectives which can virtual platform, and then conceptualize the course. Then the conceptualizing the course is nothing but you need to take a lot of effort. Okay, for example, if you want to adapt to one particular platform or a software tool for delivering your course, then you have to have your first hand experience with that software. Then only you can better conceptualize that particular course. Then create the course, with a lot of whether the logistical and the housekeeping facility, all these things in the college, and finally test the course, and that should be a two part. One should be at the part of the instructor and design side, the other should be on the part of technology and on the part of students, how the course will go. So these craft check, the checklist you need to ensure before you adopt the learnings. So moving forward, we are moving forward towards a new frontier. As we started, we are moving forward towards a new frontier virtual learning environment, where here I have given some data. This talks about the data by different schools and different organizations. Okay, so this talks about the actual benefits of virtual learning. So graduation actually 3.1% in the Boston public schools, 14% in the Los Angeles schools, 64% increase in the schools, and in fact this reduced the dropouts also. See, in the country like India, where the dropouts are very very high, okay, I think if we come up with a very good blended model of education, we can reduce this school dropouts and college dropouts. So building the virtual environment, how to build the virtual environment, as we discussed, you need to integrate with the other technology, and you need to be a versalite, and you need to be a scalable, and one by one, stage by stage, a scale by scale, you need to implement it, and you have to have a essential plan to evolve as a virtual learning technology, a path to upgrade all of your technology towards the virtual learning. And instructor support and training is very very important. The instructor should be given training in all these. Apart from their teaching subject, they have to go through trainings on technology, trainings on designing the virtual courses. See, these days we had a lot of workshop outcome based education, how to design a curriculum in the outcome based education. So like that we need to go for how to design the course in the for the virtual learning. So that may consisting of the training on the technology, training on the designing the course, and training on the interactivity, the interaction, how you can have a better interaction in delivering those courses. So that kind of trainings and master classes are very very important. So by realizing that only, so I am planning to have a master class on blended learning. So I'm taking a lot of time with Sankita. With permission, I may take 2-3 minutes, right? So yeah. So the evolving role of educators. So the role of educator, not just teacher, but also the administrators and the entire people, the stakeholders of education. So we have to build a community. The best practices what we can follow is build a community that may have students with their hobbies, interests, so that you can better engage them in the virtual education. Use appropriate formative and summative assessment. Okay, so giving a formative and summative assessment in the regular is different. Giving it in the online is totally different, and these kind of things only we'll discuss in the blended learning workshop. And foster collaboration. Okay, you have to look for collaboration. For example, in the virtual learning platform, if there are 4 mathematics teachers are there, or economics teachers are there, what you can do is delivering a one particular subject. Yeah, you can divide it among your faculty group. For example, Sangeeta can record a video for a particular portion of the curriculum, and the other colleague of Sangeeta can do the other video. So like that, the entire course can be whichever the component you are better, the best. So get the best of the teachers and have a the curriculum videos, so that you can share it with the students to have an interaction session. So what I do prefer is some conceptual things, okay, which you can teach theory kind of things. So if you teach concepts, teaching concepts, theory and all, that can be recorded and you can put it across the students, and later you can have one session of interacting on that. So the collaboration among the faculties is very much helpful in designing the the courses, and instill 4 C's for this virtual learning in the 21st century. That is why be more creative. How creative you can give your presentation. Okay, by making this PPT, so I'm putting a lot of effort in preparing my content, because that creativity is very important. Critical thinking will help you to build your story of giving the subject. So build a story when you are delivering a subject. Build a story. Don't it will be more interesting if you build a story and you teach it. And collaboration, as I talk about, and communicate well. So these are all very, very important for in the roles of things. For example, uh, as I spoke about, connect the real world. So whatever the subject you teach, connecting to the real world will make the virtual learning more interesting. Okay, so these are all the 10 different 10 different predictions of online learning in 2020. Colleges and universities are going to expand their online and flexible learning in the days to come, and there will be a greater demand for online and virtual learning in the years to come. And colleges and other institutions can go for nano credentials. As I told you, nano credentials, you can give a nano teaching. Okay, take a nano portion of your subject, make a small lectures, 10 minutes, 20 minutes of lecture. Don't give it 1 hour or 2 hours of continuous lecture. Go for a 20-30 minutes of nano lectures. That will create a great impact. Actually, I experienced with my students, that makes a lot of sense. Lectures. Companies and colleges and universities, all these are going to be partner together for the the in future. So the entire, see, if the institution is not partner with the university, not partner with the industry, then your curriculum may not meet the future demands of the industry. If the curriculum is not meeting the future demands of the industry, your students will not get the job. When they are not getting the job, your brand will go. So ultimately, it will affect the entire teaching ecosystem. And this is very, very important. We are getting into the 5G technology, right? So 5G technology is almost going to come in a less than a year. So that will create this learning experience in a very high level. See, you need to be prepared for that. So lot of simulations, virtual reality. See, we have seen lot of virtual reality cameras and all. So it will create a virtual reality equipped teaching. Even without that kind of thing, so like you're wearing a small glass, even without a glass, by seeing in a laptop, you can see a virtual reality classes also. Like that, the 5G will enable a lot of the technological advancements in ensuring this virtual learning. And this technological and technical and vocational education will also grow like anything because of this technology enabled virtual learning. And more ethical and privacy issues may emerge. So that, see, when we are teaching online, actually, the Zoom also, there are some issues came. This is not secured and a lot of problems are happening like that. So there will be a lot of ethical and privacy issues may come. So that we can solve with the help of the artificial intelligence. So a lot of people are working, technocrats are working on adopting this artificial intelligence in the security matters of this online and virtual education. So a lot of new products are going to come in ensuring the privacy of privacy of students, teachers, in providing the virtual learning. And artificial, as I told you, it will totally going to trigger the changes in the assessment. So to virtual assessments, with the help of the artificial intelligence, you can monitor the student as like you do in the regular classes. So a lot of new products are going to come within 2 years. So note my words, and these all will change the entire the kind of lifestyle of teachers. So that's it I want to cover, and today, so this is all about every resolution needs resistance. We need to create a lot of um, efforts to go for understanding all this. So in short, make it short, higher education actually needs a long-term plan for virtual learning. We need a not a short-term plan. Actually, for a short-term effect of this COVID-19, we move to virtual learning, online education, but we need a long-term plan for virtual learning to sustain in this platform. For that, we need to build mature digital learning ecosystem. We need to build, colleges and universities need to build a matured digital learning ecosystem. There are three stages of, three stages are there in establishing this digital learning ecosystem, that are digital newcomers, emerging adapters, and advanced institutions. No Indian colleges and no Indian institutions are these categories. Advanced institution. We are not advanced institutions in terms of establishing the digital learning ecosystem. We have not done. Only the western part of countries somehow, having this digital emerging adapters and advanced institutions. We are actually some of the very few institutions in India actually into the emerging adapters, and almost 95% of Indian institutions are newcomers to this platform. Okay, so your peers, so maybe AES National College is there, a lot of peer the competitors are there, colleges are there. So if you are also a newcomer, your competitor is also a newcomer. If you are not joining this journey to establish a digital learning ecosystem, then you will not be there in the race at all. To be there in the race of providing better education to the next generation, we have to comply with establishing this digital learning platform. So a lot of investment is required, lot of efforts are required, lot of vision is very much needed. A visionary leaders. Okay, you should have a visionary leader at your top positions like principal, deans, academics, right? For that positions, you have to really have a visionary leader rather than just an administrator. Don't look for an administrator to run a lead an institution. Look for a visionary one. One can take the college or university to the next level. So that will enhance to enhance the colleges and university to play a better role in this new virtual learning ecosystem. So in the long time, there is a need of effective leadership, as I talk about, and we have to ask these questions. What will become of campuses and what will be the future campuses? A visionary leader of your institution should think about the future campus, and in that line, they have to take the entire stakeholders of the college. And this is the era, along with the digital natives, we have a lot of information, lot of technology, lot of information, facilities are there. When we have more information, when we have more knowledge, we have greater responsibility to serve to the community, to serve to the next generation. So by having more information, more technology, it is our responsibility to ensure a better learning environment to the students. For that, what we are supposed to do, an educational institution at the top level, too, we have to sit through different sessions. You have to prepare handbook of data privacy of your college, and you need to prepare a policy for virtual learning policy for students. One committee should be formed. Handbook of virtual learning environment handbook for teacher. college level one committee need to be formed, and they have to ensure what should be there. And we also need to prepare handbook for parents when we are adopting virtual learning environment. And we also need to prepare the administrators handbook, leaders, principals, and other administrators handbook, how they can take it forward. Actually, I'm working on all these areas. I am exploring myself. I have my own views on all this. So, I have personal vision on all this. So I'm working on this. So like that, the aspiring leaders and the leaders at the institution should think about these 4, 5, a kind of handbooks that you need to prepare, and you have to implement it in the days to come at your institutions. So that's it. I just taken a freedom of time from Sanketa. It's 1:45. We started late, but I think I am on time, so I kept the time. Thank you, Umesh. So I will be happy to take questions now. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Sippy Mohan message, teaching not just importing what is in the syllabus to mold a student 360-degree way. We need in-person sessions, and nothing can take away its important IKs. But 100% in-class sessions is not, it is not going to happen anymore. So any more 100% in-class sessions, at least a part of your courses will be delivered online. So that is what I'm telling. If something you need not really meet students, okay? Conceptual, what is what? That what is what kind of thing and all you can do it online. Okay, something you really want to interact, something you really want to collaborate with the students and do it in the real time, that you can do it in the in class. So that is what I am suggesting, to go with the blended model, not the 100% virtual learning. So I am with the blended learning model. So that is what I am insisting. For that, I am doing a workshop on that, paid one. So any questions I can take it. So if there is any question from organizer side also, I will be taking. How to conduct exam through software? Yeah, there are, see, we have a LMS, we have a lot of LMS already, a lot of products are there, but a lot of companies are working on that, edutech companies are working on that. LMS enables to conduct exams online. So that I have a lot of experience in conducting online exams. Since I served at the B school called the Great Lakes Institute of Management. So that is one of the premier institution in India. So where I got a lot of exposure, we 100% we done online exams there. Good. Google Forms also we can do, but not to the greater extent. Google Forms also we can do. Quizzes kind of thing and all you can take, but not at a greater extent. So for the crisis management situation, see, actually we are managing this crisis with the help of Google and Zoom. Okay, so that with help that only crisis time it's okay, but for a regular standard delivery of the thing, Google may not be sufficient. Yeah. Any further questions? I'm happy to take. See, it is always the questions will get more inputs when you ask questions, and you will get more inputs. So without questions, so it will be a monotonous. And if you ask something you want to know, then it will be better. Vani India, I feel physical teaching and personal evaluation of people cannot be replaced by virtual class 100%. By my experience, I feel we need to use blended learning and teaching practice with the proper. So that is what I told. Blended learning we have to go for. Yeah, not virtual learning actually. Yes, I agree, Vani. That is what I too talked about. I think you agree with me. Yeah. Sangeeta, any questions from your audience there, sitting there in Gauri Pidanur? Faculties are sitting there, right?
No, sir, no question.
No questions, sir. Okay.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat. Sir will answer you.
Thanks, Vani. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Thank you, MS. From my end, I thank it's being my pleasure to be part of this celebration of the 100th birth anniversary of the founder of AES Foundation Trust and all. So it is very happy to be part of this. Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Saisa Banu. If anyone want to give a feedback or anyone want to talk online, you just raise your hand. I will unmute or allow you. You can speak here. Faisa, raise your hand. I will unmute you. You can speak.
It's our pleasure to have you here in our college, sir.
Thank you, Amish. It's my pleasure too. Yeah, it's my pleasure to working with my colleagues and students. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So if there is no questions, I hand over the session to Mrs. Sankita Vinay. Yeah.
Thank you. So at last, we have come to an end. That is vote of thanks. I would like to thank in absence of our president, secretary, chairman, and our fellow principals. I would like to thank everyone and our today's guest, Dr. G. Satish Kumar, who heartedly agreed our request to rendering speech. And the session was very good, sir. And I would like to thank everyone. Your presence and active participation gave more support to do programs like this in our college. I'd like to give my immense pleasure and my thanks to my colleagues who supported me to do this lecture in our college for the first time, and the librarian Suresh sir and everyone I like to thank. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box. Still, sir is live. Sir is answering.
Thank you, Soumya. Thank you, Kamala. Everyone, it's pleasure to thank everyone, right? Silpa, thank you. Naresh, thank you. Kamala, thank you. Sarifa, Banu, thank you very much. Swati, Ritas, thank you very much. Vikram, Sreyas, thank you very much. D and thank you. D, thank you very much. Thank you, Divya. Yeah. Supriya, thank you very much. Sudha, thank you. Thanks. Anusa, thank you. Yeah. Negra, thank you. And Jansi, thank you. This personal touch I also like. So I thank my people when they come and say compliments. Ramanji, Amma, thank you. Sweta, Kostela, Aditya, thank you. Some names pardon me, I may not pronounce it correctly. Thank you. Music, okay. Thank you, Ramanji, Maria, everyone. Yeah. So you please be connected with me, and I will share my email. You can get a feedback to form to the Sangeeta there, but you can also mail me. You can also mail me your qualitative feedback, not the quantitative. Qualitative feedback, you can send it to my email ID. I will share my that bundle learning WhatsApp details. If you want to join, you can join. So I shared my email here, professorgsk@outlook.com. So you can mail me a qualitative feedback, how was the session and what you learned what is your experience with virtual learning, something you can share with me. And I will share I will reply back with the details of my session on blended learning. So if you are interested, you can come to that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So let me close, Sankita. Fine, it's fine. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you take care of, okay? You may I take a leave? Can you take care of? So,
Yes, sir. You can.
huh? Otherwise, I will make you. You want to be live, or can I close the meeting? It's over.
The meeting, sir. Fine.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. I think you have a recording at your end. I need not send it. I didn't record it. Okay.
Yes, sir. It's recorded in our system.
I didn't record it. It is there with you. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. See you. Bye.